Before you spend one more dollar of the check that hits your account this month, stop. There are three things happening to Social Security right now, this July, and depending on which one applies to you, it could mean your payment stops cold, your budget gets blown up by a check that isn't what it looks like, or the IRS quietly starts owing you for a change. Here's why I'm bringing you this today and not last month. In the last few weeks, the Social Security Administration confirmed it's finishing off a change that's been years in the making. A brand new tax law is now actually affecting real paychecks and real tax bills for the first time. And the July payment calendar itself has a quirk in it that's already got people calling their bank sure something went wrong. Three separate things, same month. That's not a coincidence, and that's why we need to talk about it today, not in the fall. I'm going to walk you through all three. Which one could shut off your payment completely if you ignore it? Which one is tricking folks into thinking they got a bonus? And why spending it that way could leave you short? And I'm saving the best one for last, because it might be the first genuinely good tax news seniors have gotten in years. Stick around, because that one alone could be worth thousands. Here's the thing about all three of these. Not one of them showed up with a letter marked urgent in bold red ink. They showed up buried in agency blog posts, buried in payment calendars, buried in a tax bill that ran hundreds of pages. Nobody's job is to sit you down and explain what changed. That's on you to find out, or today on me. By the time we're done here, you'll know exactly what's changing, exactly what it means for your money this month and this year, and exactly what to do about each one. No jargon, no runaround. Name's Raymond. Been doing this, reading the fine print so regular folks don't have to, for more years than I care to admit on camera. What I'm about to share is something every American on Social Security needs to hear. Let's get into it. Surprise number one, and it's the one with real teeth. Back in March of last year, the President signed Executive Order 14247, modernizing payments to and from America's bank account. Translation: the federal government is done mailing paper checks. Now, that mandate technically kicked in back on September 30th of last year, but here's the July news. The Social Security Administration just announced in the last few weeks that it intends to finish the job by the end of this year. No more exceptions running out the clock. If you're one of the, by the agency's own count, a few 100,000 people nationwide still getting a paper Social Security check in the mail, your check is on a countdown. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Raymond, I've gotten a paper check every month since Reagan was in office. Why would that stop now? Because the government's crunched the numbers, and a paper check costs about 20 times more to produce than an electronic payment. And it's 16 times more likely to get lost, stolen, or altered in the mail. So, no more waiting for a waiver to expire quietly. They're closing this out. Here's the part that actually matters to you. You don't have to do anything drastic. You need one of two things on file: a direct deposit account or a Direct Express prepaid debit card, which works even if you don't have a bank account. You can set either one up through your My Social Security account online, by calling the administration directly, or through the Treasury's Go Direct program. And if you genuinely can't manage electronic payments, say you're in a remote area with no bank nearby or a serious health issue makes it impractical, there is a waiver you can request through the Treasury. But you have to ask for it. Nobody's handing that out automatically. And look, I get the irony of the government of all institutions, lecturing anybody about being slow to modernize. But here we are. Bottom line on Surprise One: if a check still shows up in your mailbox, don't wait for a deadline letter that may never come. Get ahead of it now while you've still got the calendar on your side. Now, that one could cost you your payment if you ignore it. This next one is the opposite problem. It looks like the government just gave you extra money. It didn't. And spending it like it did could leave you scrambling. If you get supplemental security income, SSI, that's the separate benefit for folks 65 and older or disabled, living on a limited income and modest savings. Take a good look at your account this month. You got a deposit on July 1st, and you're going to get another one on July the 1st. Now, before you start planning what to do with your bonus, hold on. That second deposit on July 31st, that's not extra. That's your August SI payment arriving one day early. Why? Because August 1st falls on a Saturday this year, and the administration doesn't issue payments on weekends. So, instead of showing up August 1st, it just slides forward to the last business day of July. Here's why this trips people up every single time it happens. 2 deposits landing in the same calendar month feels like a windfall. It is not. That money still has to stretch across the entire month of August. Rent, groceries, prescriptions, all of it. Because there will be no SSI deposit at the start of August to cover those bills. If you treat that July 31st check like found money, you're setting yourself up for a rough September. Think of it less like a bonus check and more like your paycheck showing up a day early before a long weekend. Same money, it just moved. So here's your action step on this one. When that second deposit lands, mentally file it under August's rent, not vacation fund. Simple as that, and it saves you a world of stress 3 weeks from now. All right. 2 down. Now, for the one I promised you, the one that's actual good news. And I mean that sincerely. Last year's big tax and spending law, the one you've probably heard called the One Big Beautiful Bill, included something that flew almost completely under the radar for retirees, a brand new senior deduction. Here's what it actually does. If you're 65 or older, you can now deduct up to $6,000 from your taxable income, on top of your regular standard deduction, and you don't have to itemize a single thing to get it. For a married couple, where both spouses are 60+, that's up to $12,000 off your taxable income between the two of you. Now, here's a term I want to unpack for you real quick. MAGI, Modified Adjusted Gross Income. That's basically your total income for the year with a couple of technical add-backs, and that's the number that determines whether you qualify. The deduction is available in full if you're a single filer under $75,000 MAGI, or a married couple filing jointly under $150,000. Above those lines, it phases out gradually. It doesn't just vanish, it tapers off. And here's the kicker most people miss entirely. This deduction doesn't target your Social Security benefit directly. What it does is lower your overall taxable income. But for a lot of retirees in that income range, lowering overall taxable income enough on top of the existing standard deduction can incidentally wipe out all or nearly all of the federal tax owed on their Social Security benefit. Not lower it. In plenty of cases, eliminate it. This isn't permanent, by the way. It's currently written to run through the 28 tax year, which is exactly why the smart move is to use it while it's on the table, not assume it'll always be there. The IRS doesn't usually hand out good news without a catch buried somewhere in a footnote. This one's about as close to a straight gift as the tax code gets. Now, why am I telling you this in July, months before tax season? Because this is exactly the point in the year to check your withholding or your estimated payments with whoever does your taxes before you're staring at a surprise bill or a surprise refund you could have had in your pocket all year next April. So let's bring it together. 3 things, 3 moves, all doable this week. 1. If you still get a paper Social Security check, set up direct deposit or a direct express card now through your My Social Security account or by calling the administration directly. Don't wait for the deadline to find you. 2. If you're on SSI, that July 31st deposit is August rent money, not a bonus. Budget it that way. 3. If you're 65 or older, ask your tax preparer this week whether the new senior deduction changes what you should be withholding or paying in for the rest of this year. Don't wait until it's April to find out you left money on the table. None of these 3 snuck up on the folks who were paying attention, and now you are one of them. If this saved you a headache or saved someone you love from a nasty surprise, share it with them and drop your birth year in the comments. I'll tell you exactly which of today's 3 matters most for where you're at. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.